mansions no one wants to buy for any price. I could take a look at some homes. It's been a minute since we've done like a home tour. We can check out the ones no one wants to buy.
Everyone dreams of owning a mansion, but in reality, it's a dream most of us will never be able to afford. Or is it? If you know where to look, you'd be surprised with the incredible mansions you could get on the cheap, and even more surprised by why not even millionaires want to buy them. From domineering castles with creepy
Ghosts?
pasts to haunting homes suspiciously available for free, let's take a tour of some
For free?
incredible mansions no one wants to buy.
Fuck it,
for
I'll
any
live for a
price.
ghost for free if it's a mansion. Why not?
$0 with a catch.
What?
They say that
What's
nothing
the
in this
catch?
world comes free, and when something seems just too good to be true, it usually is. In May 2019, bargain hunters were astounded when a listing for an impressive seeming 4-bedroom home on Craigslist went viral for touting a $0 price tag. But there was a catch. The seemingly good-willed seller behind this insane offering was Barb Coughlin, the owner of the property in Jordan, Minnesota, who inherited it from her grandmother, Gail. No one lived in the house even when it was owned by Gail, and in 2002 the elderly woman made the bizarre decision to relocate the property from the middle of town to the side of the highway. Moving a house is a Herculean task and requires a lot of resources. Relocated
Sounds like
properties
it.
are usually lifted from under the sills with a jacking system and a network of beams to keep the structure in one piece. Gail's reasons for moving the house were never revealed, but it remained abandoned on the side of the highway for 15 years, until the property fell into Barb's hands in 2017 following Gail's passing. The mini mansion's interior is completely empty, except for the remnants of decor from days gone by. Just one glance at those bright orange countertops and cork backsplash is enough to tell you that this place needs a significant overhaul
looks
when
like
it comes to
Be fixed
decoration.
up a little bit.
Having originally planned to renovate the mansion into a 2-story apartment complex, Barb hit a bump in the road when pitching her idea to Jordan's City Planning Committee. To turn 508 Broadway into an apartment building, Barb would need to provide ample parking for residents. The problem was that the land the property stood on was zoned for commercial use, meaning that if someone wanted to live in the house in its current location, they'd have to apply to change the land's zoning law, which is a long and expensive process. By April 2019, Barb had been given an ultimatum by the local government: move the house from the side of the highway or see it demolished. As a part of her family's history, Barb was determined to save 508 Broadway. But after finding out the costly nature of relocating the property, she decided to list the house for $0 in hopes someone else would take care of the moving part. As you can imagine, this sort of literal house move doesn't come cheaply, and upping and moving homes to new locations can cost as much as $200,000. In addition to the cost of the move, Barb estimated that renovating the home would cost around $150,000, totaling to an investment
like
that
$400K
could
right
cost
there.
as much as $350,000. Hardly the $0 of the listing price. That being said, $350,000 is actually
way too high.
around $100,000 less than the median house price in the area, so it could still be a sound investment for anyone bold enough to undertake the work.
Maybe,
While
but
things were looking up for Barb in June 2019 when she was approached by a property developer, there's been no update on the future of the house since. Thankfully, it looks like this highway house is still standing in the very same spot and was still sporting a for sale sign in September 2021. So the only question is, are you up to the task?
No.
And star it, mansion.
If I got that house, it would stay there, and then it'd be demolished because I can't pay for it.
They say that home is where the heart is, but sadly this next mansion has struggled to capture any buyer's heart for many
It's so
years.
pink.
Located in the historic town of Port Townsend, Washington, this 1899 beauty was a true labor of love for George Starrett, who built the house for his adored wife, Anne. Dubbed the Anne Starrett Mansion, the 5,796 square foot property has 11 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms set over 2 stories. The crowning tribute to Anne is the 8-sided dome tower at the mansion's entrance that encases an ornate spiral staircase. On the dome's ceiling is a solar calendar designed by renowned New York artist George Chapman, who used Anne Starrett's likeness to depict the 4 seasons and the 4 virtues: prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. George and Anne fully enjoyed their beautiful mansion and lived there all their married life, passing ownership of the property to their descendants who continued to live there until the 1980s. The Starrett family seat found new caretakers in Bob and Edel Sokol, who bought the house in 1986 and turned it into a boutique hotel.
For how much?
After a successful stint as hoteliers, the Sokos put the starred mansion on the market in 2009. But in the 13 years since then, the mansion has been relisted a surprising 7 times to no avail. While it might seem surprising that a mansion this beautiful would have no interested buyers, some theorize that what lies within the mansion isn't so pretty.
No.
Locals believe the starred house is haunted by its previous residents, including Anne and George, who have allegedly been sighted by staff and guests alike. But a loved-up ghost couple isn't the only thing new owners could be dealing with. Deemed to be the most interactive of the spirits at Starred House, the ghost of the family nanny is reported to keep a close eye on house guests.
The
The
family
most popular
nanny.
stories are those of critical guests receiving a ghostly smack on the head after complaining about their
I
stay
like
at
your
the
cut,
house.
G.
Currently, the 11-bedroom property is listed for a price of $1.5 million, which is a bargain compared with this 5-bed, 4-bath mansion situated just an 8-minute walk away for $1.3 million.
Hot damn.
Beautiful as it looks,
Man,
no
you get
one's
11
too keen
rooms.
to shack up with Ann Starrett Mansion's past or
And you get the
ghostly
pink.
present. However real those alleged ghosts may or may not be.
But you get the ghost,
But
too.
considering that 57% of people in the U.S. believe in the existence of ghosts, it's no wonder that haunted houses
Wait,
sit on the market for
57%? Really? That is higher than I thought. I thought it'd be way lower.
so
Huh.
long. With that in mind, this seller in Clifton, Tennessee decided to
Now that's
quell
crazy.
superstitions when they listed this property in 2015 with a specially made "not haunted" for sale sign. It's unknown why the owners deemed these measures necessary to sell
Not
this
haunted.
5-bedroom lot, but for the low price of $99,950, that not haunted addition only serves to make me more suspicious. Nope, no ghosts here. Totally not haunted.
Sure.
Foreclosing fortress. While for most folks the idea of living in a castle exists only in the realms of imagination, the reality of this next property turned out to be nothing short of a real estate nightmare. Businessman Christopher Mark was the mind behind this one-of-a-kind property based on the fairy castles from his daughter's
I'm
storybooks.
so full.
Complete with a moat and towers rising 126 feet into the sky, this Gothic creation took a staggering 7 years to build between 2001 and 2008. Dubbed
Oh,
Chris
damn.
Mark Castle, the property is nestled within 75 acres of sprawling forest, and the decor inside transports visitors
Whoa.
back in time with its medieval design.
Yeah, some
There
medieval
are
time
9
shit.
bedrooms and 10 bathrooms, all fit for royalty, as well as 12 fireplaces and
Wait,
wooden floors and
let me see
door
that
inside
bathroom again.
transports visitors back in time with its medieval design. There are 9 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms, all
Oh, God. That bathroom
all
looks
fit
so
for
nice.
royalty,
It's
as
got a
well as 12
bathtub.
fireplaces and
Oh, that
wooden
looks
floors
nice.
and doors built with over
I like a
25
good
different
bathroom
types of
and a good kitchen.
luxurious hardwoods. So what's the catch? You'd think somewhere as magical as this would have plenty of billionaire buyers banging down the door. However,
It's even got a
this
gazebo.
wonderland-
Is that what that was? I even saw like a gazebo outside.
So what's the catch? You'd think somewhere as magical as this would have plenty of billionaire buyers
Damn
banging
it.
down the door. However, this wonderland has been sitting on the market since 2014 with an asking price of an out-of-this-world $60 million. While you might
damn.
think that the only reason no buyers have chosen to start a chapter at Chrismark Castle is that extortionate price tag, there's a lot more to it than that. Turns out the current
Like
owner's
what?
private life is far from a fairy tale. In 2008, it was reported that Christopher was using the mansion to conceal a suspicious quote-unquote modeling agency that reportedly listed women for hire at $125 from the castle. This sketchy venture followed with a messy public divorce from his wife, alongside the untimely death of a camel living on the exotic animal
No.
refuge on the property. And
Not the
Christopher
camel.
also reportedly put his new girlfriend Marina and the child they had together out on the street, refusing to have anything to do with them besides the basic monthly minimum in child support payments. Given that Chris's
What?
castle is associated with all of this morally questionable
This
behavior,
guy,
it
man.
casts a gothic darkness over what may have been a charming home, turning into something altogether quite sinister and unnerving. The room in the
True.
basement dedicated to pole dancing and, other activities involving binding in cages doesn't
Binding?
exactly help the
Cages?
an image either. While there may be no
$60
ghosts
million
at Chrismark
might not be
Castle,
that outrageous
it's
anymore.
safe to assume that there are plenty
I could
of
find use for
dark
this home.
secrets.
60 million? We'll make it work.
$1,000 home.
1,000?
Everyone loves a good home makeover.
I could get this
and
in a
some
year.
Say you can't put a price
Easy.
on the result of hard work.
If I'm
But
lucky.
in 2020, this
Maybe.
3-bed, 2-bath Victorian-era property was listed for just $1,000. The catch is
It
that
looks
this
pretty
authentic
beat,
property
but
is
it's
completely
not
abandoned,
bad.
and despite its charming exterior, the insides are in complete
Oh, never mind.
disarray.
It's beat.
Located in
She
Syracuse, New
beat.
York, the
That is beat,
2,056
man.
square foot house was built in 1890 and features rounded rooms with ornate plastered
But like, I can
ceilings that
see the,
harken
you know,
back to
potential.
the 19th century world in which they were constructed. There's a formal dining room and living parlor that could be fit for a very la-di-da tea party, given a bit of TLC. Well, a lot of TLC. Whoever does end up parting with that $1,000 will have a lot of crumbling foundations on their hands that will need to undergo a complete reconstruction. That amount of labor won't come cheap, and the property's listing claims that it will require around $200,000 in renovations to restore it to its former glory. Considering the average house in Syracuse is worth around $153,000,
I thought
this
it'd be
1K
more.
fixer-upper isn't quite the bargain it might seem.
Yeah, you could
Well,
just get a new one,
fixer-uppers
you know?
like this are always going to be burying some hidden costs. Building a brand doesn't have to cost the earth. If you fancy yourself a budding content creator or you run your own business, you can get an instant boost with today's sponsor,
Oh,
Render Forest.
Render
The
Forest.
services offered by Render Forest make it super easy to create broadcast quality content, website,
I bought 10.
Peterson's
Crazy.
Folly. Let's be honest, the whole point of buying a mansion is to show off, and the larger you can go, the better. But this next mansion just goes to show that you can have too much of a good thing. This over-the-top 14-floor residence in Hampshire, England, was constructed in the 1880s
What
by
the-
wealthy landowner Andrew Turton Peterson. Known as a bit of an eccentric, Andrew developed a keen interest for spiritualism and communicating with people from beyond
Eccentric,
the
you
grave.
say?
One spirit Andrew
Would've never
claimed
guessed.
to have contacted was the renowned 17th century English architect Sir Christopher Wren, who apparently instructed him to build a large concrete tower, which was pretty odd considering that Wren never used concrete in his designs. But who says people's taste can't change, right? And so Andrew did as he was told. Known as a folly, large towers like this were pretty popular in the 18th and 19th centuries and were built solely for decoration to be admired by rich homeowners nearby. While it looked pretty, or at least interesting,
It
from
looks
the
interesting.
outside,
I'll go
the
with that.
concrete monolith was home to little more than stairs and pigeons until 1973, when the tower came under new ownership. The Grade 2 listed building was bought by Paul Atkins for just $5,000, who renovated part of the property into a tall,
5,000?
skinny mansion for a cool $1 million investment. Paul first turned the tower into a boutique hotel with en-suite bedrooms, each taking
Oh.
up an entire floor in the twig-like tower
course
before
he did.
offering
That's
the
pretty
property
crazy.
up for sale more than 4 decades later. First listed in 2016, the property is conservatively described as a 4-bed detached house, despite standing at 220 feet and housing 320 steps. If the thought of
300
climbing all those stairs every day wasn't
Who-
enough to put buyers off,
who
then
would wanna
paying the
do that?
$2.5 million asking
Two-
price is sure to sour the
I'm
deal
good.
even further. Not only that, but the new owner
Who's gonna
had
pay
best
$2
be
mil to
shock
walk up
resistant,
320
considering
steps?
the Folly has been struck by lightning at least 10 times in its history.
And
With more than
to have
5
the
years on the
possibility to be
market under its
struck.
belt,
Yeah, dude,
let's
I'm
hope
good.
that this historic structure finds a new owner before Mother Nature smites it down to rubble.
That'd be
Carleton
unfortunate.
Island Villa. The thought of owning a mansion on a near private island is a dream harbored by many. But for this next property, things are far from idyllic today. In the late 1800s, businessman William Osmond Wyckoff was amassing a great fortune from selling the then newly invented typewriter. After all that hard work, William needed a break. And in 1894, he set about
The guy who
commissioning a
invented
dream
typewriter.
vacation home on the picturesque Carleton Island in upstate New York. The property was completed in 1895, and despite being a vacation home, Williams' 15,000 square foot fortress was completed with a whopping 50 rooms inside.
It looks nice.
With all that space,
50
as well as an
rooms.
abundance of waterfront views, things were looking bright for the Wyckoff clan's next
It's
summer
got some
vacation.
holes on
But
top.
things didn't end up so sunny for William, as he eerily died in his sleep during his very first night on Carleton Island.
Huh.
The villa was inherited by one of William's sons, who quickly sold the property following the tanking of the Wyckoff family fortune during the Great Depression in the 1920s. The property was sold to energy company General Electric, who had intended on using the villa to host employee retreats. But sadly, these plans were soon forgotten as World War II unfurled. Decades flew by, and the Carleton Island Villa remained, exposed to the unforgiving elements, as well as numerous lootings over the years.
Oh, damn.
Eventually, the villa came under new ownership by a couple living in a cottage nearby the estate who put the mansion on the market in 2012. Despite its colossal size, Wyckoff's mansion was priced at
That thing
just
is
$495,000.
They
Mere
took it
drop
all.
in the ocean compared with what you'd think it must
Jesus.
be worth. In fact, in the general surrounding
It used
area,
to look nice, though. That was a nice
$480,000
house.
can only buy a quaint 4-bedroom property. So it might seem odd that no one wants to snap up the 11-bedroom Carlton Villa. However, these days, Carlton Island Villa is a ghostly shell of its former self. And some even suspect that the abandoned ruins are haunted by
Yeah, I was
William
gonna say,
Wyckoff
the man
himself.
passed away in there, so people are gonna be scared of ghosts. I mean, it's basically stripped, so you're gonna have to pay a lot in renovations. That's 50 rooms of renovations. I don't know who the gamers who's gonna take this house either. Like, but I'd get this
Regardless of
before I get the
Willie's ghost,
320
the property
steps.
is regarded as a money pit. And is
Actually, I don't know if that's true. At least the 320 steps had somewhere you could sleep, and you didn't have to fix it. But then you'd probably be struck by lightning. It's a hard toss-up. It's hard.
in dangerous disrepair
But
with
it is a
all
nice
50
house.
rooms crumbling to pieces. The villa's desolate location also poses a problem to prospective house flippers, as Carlton Island is only accessible by boat. Not only that, but there's no
By
water
boat?
or electricity connected to the home, meaning that it would require a lot more than a fresh lick of paint to restore. In fact, the renovations required to get the house in shipshape condition are estimated to cost between $10 and $12 million. The new
Yeah.
owners would literally have to start from the ground up, as the stone foundations of the property have reached a point of irreversible deterioration and would need to be entirely overhauled. Over 90 years have passed since anyone has lived in the mansion, and the Carlton Island Villa vacation home is still waiting for someone to pull it out of the darkness and into the sun once again.
Damn.
Minjong House. Located
Damn,
in the
that thing
countryside
covered in
just
trees.
outside of the city of Chiai, Minjong Ghost House is one of the most infamously haunted locations in all of Taiwan. Built in 1929, this house was once full of life until, at some point in the 1950s, the owners, the Liu family, mysteriously upped and left their home behind. The reasons behind the Liu family's swift departure are shrouded in shadows, but locals believe that a haunting is to blame. In Taiwanese culture, upwards of 87% of people reportedly believe in ghosts, and there are many superstitions
87?
dictated by
He say 87? Where was this at again? Taiwan?
mind. The reasons behind the Liu family's swift departure are shrouded in shadows, but locals believe that a haunting is to blame. In Taiwanese culture, upwards of
Taiwanese.
87% of people
87?
reportedly
God
believe in
damn.
ghosts, and there are many superstitions dictated by a fear of the spirit world. These include beliefs that whistling can attract evil spirits, and that taking the last bus home could result in being abducted by a phantom driver. In the case of the
wouldn't
Minjong
want that?
house, the leading theory is that the Lus were haunted by the ghost of a maid they'd mistreated, whose spirit came back to torment them on a nightly basis. The rumors of the hauntings left the home without an owner, and it's been set up.
Do you believe in ghosts? I didn't until I went to Mexico, and now I kind of do. I kind of do. But before then, I didn't really. But now, slightly, yes.
Abandoned ever since. These days, the structure is down to its bare bones and is more of a ruin as opposed to the luxurious house it once was. And it's not just the inside that's transformed. The outside of the red brick structure has been completely overtaken by nature, engulfed by twisting vines and branches. Considering its wrecked appearance, no one in their right mind is looking to
What happened in Mexico? I don't know. In Mexico, they just made it more like prevalent, and they made it sound more realistic. I guess that's all it is. They just sold it to me better. Like, over here, they don't really talk about it.
To purchase the ruin, let alone shelling
And
out
it doesn't- I don't
potentially
know.
hundreds of
It's-
thousands more that would be needed to restore it. It's safe to say this mansion's haunted reputation,
who added
as
that
well
art
as its
there at the
problematic
front?
price tag, will likely follow it to the grave.
Damn. That's
Haunted
crazy.
house on the house. A house with a haunted history is bound to be a tough sell for any realtor, but one agent out there had a nifty trick up their sleeve. In March 2020, residents of Youngsville, Louisiana got quite the surprise when realtor Sylvia McLean posted this on Facebook, offering an entire house for free. Sylvia disclosed that whoever took it on would be expected to move and restore the 1920 structure, which stood on some land that had been purchased by her neighborhood development firm. The final bill for this house move was
Another
set to be
moving
in
of the
excess
house.
of $80,000, but it wasn't the hidden costs that were putting people off. In fact, the comments were flooded with interested buyers. But what Sylvia failed to mention were the reports of an otherworldly presence that
another
also
ghost
allegedly resides in the home.
Seems like ghosts stop a lot of people from buying homes. I was very unaware.
A restless spirit often witnessed jangling pots and
I
pans.
thought there'd be people out there who would just buy the homes. I thought there'd be someone who would just be like, yeah, so what, there's a ghost. I don't care.
Unexplained phenomena. While this might not seem like a huge deal to everyone, once interested buyers found out about the supposed haunting, most of them promptly withdrew their offers to take the house. Despite the home's ghostly resident, one brave soul did agree to take the mostly free home and relocated the house around 20 miles away.
Relocation.
Who knows if the ghost came along for the ride too. If it did, it probably won't be long before this moving property is back on the market again. While nothing in the world of real estate truly comes free, you can get your mitts on plenty of amazing free content here at Be Amazed. Why not put an offer in on those like and subscribe buttons? You can even seal the deal by ringing that bell icon,
subscribe,
so you're always
press
in
the
loop about
tickle
new
the noti
content
button
on the market. All signed, sealed, and delivered. Then let's get back to the video. S.K. Pierce Mansion. When it comes to mansions, they say that bigger
the White House?
is better. And while this next property took 100 men 18 months to build, its failure to launch comes down to just one small detail.
100
the
men.
elaborate 10-bedroom, 7,000 square foot Gothic mansion was completed in 1875 after being commissioned by
I really like that
Sylvester
Gothic
Pierce.
style right there.
Sylvester worked in the furniture business, so it's no surprise that the insides are about as lavish as you can imagine, if not a little eerie, including a steep grand staircase and lavish furnishings. After Sylvester's death in 1888,
I like the outside, but I don't like
the
the inside.
Three sons who bickered over the ownership of the mansion for years. Eventually, the mansion
At least for
was turned
living
into
wise.
a boarding house in an attempt to revitalize the dwindling Pierce family fortune, but this decision saw the mansion play host to some very unsavory activities. Illegal gambling, black market trading, frequent visits from women of the night, and even some homicides are said to have taken place at the house. By 1965, the Pierce fortune had all but disappeared, and ownership of the mansion was transferred outside of the family. Since then, the house has had quite a few residents over the years, some of which have reported some very strange goings-on. In 2009, Edwin Gonzalez moved into the property with his partner Lillian Otero, but the pair were driven out of the home by 2011 due to alleged paranormal experiences. While Edwin and Lillian lived there, neighbors reported seeing a little boy in the windows, despite the couple being childless, as well as a dark-haired woman who Lillian claims tried to possess her. While all these little anecdotes are creepy to say the least, the couple imparted their experience via a book deal, which could make the claim seem a lot more or a lot less believable, depending on your perspective. Stories like that of Edwin and Lillian are the reason why locals have dubbed the S.K. Pierce Mansion the haunted mansion of the neighborhood. And because of this, not a soul wanted to live there. Guests of the mansion have reported an alarming amount of paranormal activity, from chanting voices, apparitions, and moving furniture. The property sat on the market for 9 years before the seller finally accepted that no one was ever going to buy this accursed location to live in. Instead, they changed tactics and marketed the home as a haunted
look at it
attraction.
covered with snow. Something about just seeing it covered with snow. That looks so nice. Take me back now, y'all.
Changed tactics and marketed the home as a haunted attraction.
I like that.
In 2015, Edwin and Lillian sold Sylvester's old home to Rob and Allison Conti, the owners of haunted attraction
Well, their house
Dark
does
Carnival.
remind me of, now that I look at it more, it reminds me of that one show. Reminds me of the American Horror Story house. That's what it reminds me of. So I do like it, but it would, I don't know if I could live in
as
it.
a haunted
I
attraction.
couldn't. But
In
the stories...
2015, Edwin and Lillian sold Sylvester's old home to Rob and Allison Conti,
Oh.
the owners of haunted attraction company Dark Carnival, for a fraction of the mansion's $1.3 million valuation, at just $315,000. Currently, guests can only stay in the property after signing a detailed waiver that prevents them from suing Robert over any paranormal activity they may experience. How welcoming! Greenough Loma. Homes rendered unsellable by their creepiness are one thing, but there are some houses out there with price tags that are just too expensive for buyers to even consider. Dubbed Greenough Loma, this enormous log cabin sits on the shores of Lake Superior in Marquette, Michigan. Touting a private marina and 5,000 acres of woodland,
private marina.
26,000 square foot cabin was listed for a splintering $40 million in 2015, making it the most expensive house in the state. While you may think that's extortionate, the The home was constructed in 1923 by financier Louis G. Kaufman for $5 million, which is the equivalent of around $82 million today. However, not even billionaires thought it was a steal at its listing price, and the luxurious log cabin was chopped down to $20 million in 2017.
That's still way too high.
Since then, it's still not managed to attract any interest, and the price isn't the only thing that has buyers lost in the woods.
More ghosts.
Despite having been designed by a staggering 22 architects, the estate has some pretty dated, garish decor and a whole load of insanely creepy taxidermy. Honestly,
yeah, I wouldn't want to live in there.
Me $20 million to live in this pet cemetery. Although, not that I'd say no at that price. I could ship over some of those other haunted homes we've seen with the Prophet to form a cozy, creepy commune. Wonderfully nightmarish for the inner goth in all of us.
And then just turn it into a tour.
Would you buy any of them?
Just turn it into like a scary house tour. That'd be cool. He was on to something there at the end. Not bad. Just take the 20 mil, gather them all up, start slanging the money. Well, that was absolutely insane. It's kind of crazy that most of these were affected by ghosts. That's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. Well, that was a good video.